The Quel'Thalas revamp will be huge, and when I say huge, I mean literally huge, as in they're gonna make all the zones larger for dragon riding. They will also add new things, and Quel'Thalas isn't going to just be the same thing with new models and a facelift. The zones will be completely different. With Quel'Thalas enlarged, of course, the surrounding zones will also have to be significantly modified. This lines up perfectly with the new Gilneas revamp in 10.2.5 and the setup for WoW Midnight. This major restoration project should also include Undercity, plaguelands getting updated, possibly Stratholme. We should get a brand new Lion City of Stromgarde, amongst other things. WoW Midnight may just be the biggest revamp project Blizzard has done since Cataclysm, so let's take a look at the interviews, the datamined stuff from Dragonflight, and everything we currently know on what this northern eastern kingdom part will look like. As a Warcraft player, you're going to love this game, Call of Dragons, a strategy game with MMORPG elements. Even though this is a mobile game, don't forget it also has a very good PC version where you can experience amazing graphics and also immersive raid adventures. There is a huge 3D open world of Temeris with orcs, elves, humans. You build your own city, make your own place in this giant world, explore ancient ruins, find treasures, defeat dangerous enemies, as well as take part in a really immersive storyline. Best of all, there is a huge PvP/PvE element, as this is an MMO, of course. You got raid behemoths you can defeat and tame and use together with your alliance. You can recruit powerful heroes, hone their skills, deploy unique units, and best of all, you can command your legions just like in an RTS game. Explore the map, conquer territory, and gain advantage over your foes. So it's never been a better time to start. Download Call of Dragons today on PC with my link in the description and forge your own destiny in the world of Temeris. If you can follow the news, you have certainly heard that a world revamp isn't happening. We won't be getting a new Cataclysm. But I feel like so many people have completely misunderstood that statement and what they actually meant. We're certainly not getting entire Azeroth revamped across one expansion like back in Cataclysm, proof some earth-shattering event, but instead they will revamp the relevant zones to the next 3 expansions, which we know what they are, which is essentially going to be like half the world revamp, but it will be a gradual change. However, I would say based on all the interviews from the various devs and evidence we currently have, we are going to get like a mini Cataclysm across the northern part of the Eastern Kingdoms, which might just be like an actual void Cataclysm. Now, people are thinking, yeah, we're getting updated Ghostlands, a new Silvermoon with new models, but it is literally going to be so much more than that. Now, keep in mind, I'm not speculating here. Post BlizzCon, the general manager for Warcraft did an interview where he gave us some really exciting information. We're giving our world builders some free reign to expand. Those areas may be geographically larger than they were. They'll give them more opportunity to introduce some of the smaller points of interest where you'll have a culture or a local tribe, and give them the ability to have storylines that center on that. Seeing that dragonriding has been introduced and is here to obviously stay, this means that Quel'Thalas and that entire area is going to be optimized for dragonriding, which means that the statement may be larger is going to mean a lot larger for this to work. Keep in mind, you can't even fly in Silvermoon with regular flying, let alone dragon riding. Now, don't be fooled into thinking it is just about sprucing up the landscape a bit, optimizing it for dragon riding. In a recent interview, they made it crystal clear that the goal isn't to give Quel'Thalas a cosmetic facelift with just updated graphics. They want to make this feel like the exact same place like back in the day, but a lot larger with new lore, new things to explore, a whole new aesthetic that is going to be based on TBC. So essentially, keeping that old Quel'Thalas vibe with new and significantly expanded zones. However, I gotta say, this is just the start of good news. Quel'Thalas at the moment is instance. Later, it obviously won't be, and keep in mind, the entire continent of the Eastern Kingdoms is a whole. You can't just enlarge a few zones and leave everything the same. It would really mess up with everything else. Because of that, I'm almost certain all the zones are going to get updated until around maybe this line here that is kinda splitting the continent continent into the northern and the southern part. Now, previously, this would have been a wild speculation, but keep in mind, in 10.2.5, we are getting a brand new alliance hub of Gilneas at the bottom of this part, which means that there is an intentional setup for WoW Midnight that we are already getting in Dragonflight, so 2 expansions earlier. So based on this, let's take a quick look at how this massive revamp will happen and what changes we should be expecting across the various zones. So starting from the top, on BlizzCon, they said that this Void Invasion will happen through the Sunwell, which means that you should expect potentially the biggest changes to the Isle of Quel'Thalas. So I'm expecting new architecture, a whole ton of Void influence, as this is going to be like the ground zero of the Void Invasion. You can expect the Sunwell to look so much better, so expect a whole bunch of Void things here, new architecture, new aesthetics. Now, for Silvermoon, get ready for the most thrilling news and a colossal makeover. With the talks of uniting 11 tribes and the recent Horde and Alliance dynamics, Silvermoon might just evolve into a neutral hub, reminiscent of the iconic Dalaran from a few expansions ago, although it could also of course end up as a Horde city, especially as Gilneas could be the Alliance one. However, this city is literally just going to get completely plucked out of the ground and replaced in its entirety, seeing how outdated it is in every possible aspect. So expect Silvermoon to be much larger, expect the broken parts of Silvermoon to actually be fixed, and most importantly, expect to be able to fly there like all over the place. Also, with how much things have changed, we might be getting rid of those Kelta statues that are everywhere, as back when they were built, he was a good guy, he was their leader, so that is why they're all over Silvermoon. Furthermore, based on the datamined ships we can found and new models, we could expect a much larger naval dock as well as the surrounding camps, and most importantly, we should expect that dead scar to be nearly removed. I don't think it is going to heal due to so much damage from the Scourge, but now it should be more like an actual scar instead of like a wound like it was back in the day. Along these same lines, we should expect obviously big changes to Ghostlands. We should see the Scourge influence almost non-existent, as remember, there was that big removal quest line at the end of Shadowlands in Quel'Thalas. However, a super interesting thing that I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about right now is how relevant the Amani are going to be in this expansion. Remember, the trolls have lived in Quel'Thalas for thousands of years, and they have been the #1 enemy of the High Elves all throughout history. The Void Invasion in this area is definitely not going to just go around them. They 100% will have to get involved in some way. I mentioned this before, but it will be the perfect opportunity to make the Forest Troll playable, as remember, Forest Trolls, albeit another tribe, are already a part of the Horde, and they have been a part of the Horde for a really long time. They're also one of the most iconic races dating back to the original RTS games. Additionally, in another interview with this exact same dev, he mentioned they already have new races planned out for WoW Midnight in The Last Titan, so new playable races are definitely coming. That is not just speculation. Seeing that both the High Elves and the Amani have been nearly wiped out in the recent times, the way I see it happening is that this is going to be like a historical precedent where they set their differences aside to fight the common enemy. Let's be real, I mean, Blizzard loves these types of storylines of uniting and friendship, so I could totally see an alliance happening between them to save themselves from the Void Invasion that threatens their entire existence. A part of the Amani could decide to join the Void to finally deal with the Elves, while they splinter into another group that could become friendly. Realistically, I could even see zul'aman as a new raid in WoW Midnight. I mean, it would be very realistic, and Blizzard always loves those nostalgia points. Other than this, the little missing part of Quel'Thalas that you can't access has been confirmed to be accessible, and new things will be added to this area, so there is going to be brand new content that we had never seen before. Also, they said more local things will be expanded, so we should expect new content as well in the more developed zones. However, that is literally just the start. As I said, these changes done to Quel'Thalas are definitely going to reflect the surrounding areas as well, and we should be seeing significant structural changes to the entire continent of the Eastern Kingdoms. Previously, this might have just been sheer speculation until 10.2.5 was announced. Some spoilers for the patch, but we have datamined how we reconquer Gilneas, and we know we win in the end. I know, not a huge shocker. The entire thing seems to be a setup where the Alliance is retaking Gilneas, but it won't really be fully rebuilt, and more than likely that big Gilneas revamp is saved for WoW Midnight when this area will be relevant. So right now we're kind of reconquering it, starting the reconstruction process that should be nearing completion in a few years' time, when WoW Midnight comes. Furthermore, Undercity and the undead issue was solved back in Shadowlands, yet the city hasn't exactly been revamped, so alongside Gilneas, we should expect massive changes to Tirisful Glades and Undercity, especially as we recently got that Forsaken Heritage questline where they became new Lordaeron, new undead Lordaeron, and I also think this will be a big part of WoW Midnight as well. Furthermore, Silverpine, which is kinda in the middle, is definitely going to be changed. When keep in mind this place has been stuck in time since the time of Cataclysm, back when the Forsaken were invading, and so much has changed since that point. But that is just the side stuff. We got the two most interesting zones where I expect really big and super interesting and long anticipated changes. So first of all, we got the Plaguelands. Now, if you guys have been following the lore for more than a little bit, you might know that a huge restoration project has been going on there since, right? In fact, a big part was already updated in Cataclysm just a few years later, which means in just a few years' time, they seriously impacted the zones, as was evident with the visual changes. Now, check this out. We got rid of the Scarlets, the Scourge defeated yet another Lich King, the Scourge was nearly destroyed in Shadowlands. This restoration with the timeskip has now been going on for like, what, 15 years? So these zones, by this point, should be completely different. I'm talking like Plaguelands actually being renamed different, and just called Lordaeron, no longer being Plaguelands, maybe having some dead parts be quite isolated to show that it can never be like it was in the past, but Plaguelands should no longer be mushrooms, cauldrons, necromancers, and undead all over the place. We should be seeing more forests and more alliance-type cities. We could potentially be seeing the clearing of Stratholme, for example, or massive changes to that area, maybe even some rebuilding process there, although I do think it would be a little bit too optimistic. I think Stratholme is kinda beyond saving at this point in time, or really at any point in time, unless some big story development happens to Stratholme. Furthermore, another thing we have that is almost 100% certain going to happen is the update to the Erratic Highlands and Stromgarde. Now, I've talked about this so much in the past, but remember, in the lore, this city is fully rebuilt. It is a functioning alliance city that actually works. In the game, it was also completely rebuilt with all these new buildings, all these new structures, but technically it is stuck in BFA in this endless Horde and Alliance battle that we know was finished years ago. So almost certainly we should expect that Stromgarde will become some type of an Alliance hub. Furthermore, we are getting these Rati humans in War Within, which might turn out to be a big connection to what happens later down the line, although it is too early to speculate. Now, keep in mind, they didn't actually mention these zones coming certainly, but I gotta say it is highly likely, especially since they're doing a Gilneas revamp in 10.2.5, which they also never mentioned in the WoW Midnight announcement. Also, they said they're adding that little blocked part to Quel'Thalas, 2 new Quel'Thalas. I mean, do you really think they should just enlarge this small part of the continent, add new things, and just keep everything surrounding it the same, even though they're actually like bordering each other? As I previously mentioned, I feel like this little line that kind of splits the Eastern Kingdoms into two parts, the Northern and the Southern, is going to be the dividing line of the revamp. They almost certainly won't do the entire continent revamp in this expansion, but the northern half is like 90% likely. Now, I don't actually believe we will get everything in WoW Midnight, but we might be getting these heritage type questlines even in the War Within. So, as we got Gilneas in 10.2.5, we might get a new Stromgarde or a new Undercity in maybe 11.2.5, which could lead into the big storyline in Midnight. Thank you for watching. Check out all Paladins coming to all races by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by also clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.